Hey everybody, hey everybody. So you guys are here and apparently it's a brother and a Boricua. The other two are coming. One is tied up in traffic and Yesenia, I'm not sure where she's at, but I know she's coming on. I wanted to make the announcement that I will be on October 9th, I will be at domestic violence and cancer awareness event, breast cancer awareness. I will be emceeing the event. It is always a pleasure to be invited, right, and be a guest speaker. But this year, I actually get to MC it. So when I posted the announcement, I had a few of my followers that have been following me a few years state that they were going to come. So it's pretty exciting to meet some of the people that have followed Lunchtime with Anna throughout, these years or whatever. And it's kind of flattering. So I look forward to seeing you guys. Guys, the tickets are not but $10. And I'll tell you guys where it's at if you guys would like to show up. It's the annual Purple and Pink Brunch. It is hosted by Cassandra Green, dear friend of mine. Like I said, I will be emceeing it. So it's at the Rev James Orange Park Rec Center, 1305 Oakland Lane, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia 30310. I hope to see you guys there. It'll be an event you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss. So, Langi, buenas noches. How are you doing today?
Hey, how you doing, Hannah? I'm blessed. I'm good. I'm living my best life. I'm
No,
living the
that's
life
right.
God has given me. His
I know that's
favor.
right.
His
I
favor is
know that's
real.
right. So let me tell you guys a story, and I'll tell you too, Lungi, while you're here. So I'm trying this. It's a Dr. Savi's got this detox uh, uh, panel that he sells. Right, it's a kit. The chelation is disgusting. Just so you guys, it's disgusting, but I have to drink it. It's good to detox your body from time to time. So, so don't buy the chelation. Just drink the pills. Drink the pills, not the liquid. So, Langi, like I promised last week, I would be starting talking about immigration. And when I'm saying immigration, I'm talking about the migrants that were dropped off over to Kamala Harris's house. My understanding was Biden's house, as well as Martha's Vineyard, that DeSantis, the governor over in Florida, dropped off, as well as the governor in Texas, who took them over there by the busloads, and they've threatened to uh, start dropping them off over at Democratic houses, their different houses. What are you thinking?
Um, well, my hope is that these are what some people call rhinos, because if this is the Republican Party, they have dropped to a new low. When it comes to human beings being treated this way, for political points um, and for political leverage, supposedly, I don't think they're going to gain any ground doing this. You're dealing with a very sensitive topic. You're dealing with human lives that are in desperation. You're dealing with children, women. People have needs when it comes to travel and being not having a lodging place with certain accommodations, certain hygiene, things of that nature. And just to put them in a position that would compromise their humanity to such a degree is disheartening. It to me is criminal. To me, there should be a charge for it, because how can they, on this, for the sake of, political gain or political aha moments, I got you moments, um, treat another person in this way, you know. And for me, it's just atrocious. It's an unspeakable thing. It's probably one of the worst political gestures I've seen since dogs being put on civil rights workers and children in the '60s. So I have absolutely no respect for it. I have absolutely no respect for those politicians who would stoop to such a level uh, for the sake of their so-called party. That's why I said I feel like they have to be rhinos, Republicans in name only, because I'm not a Republican, but I would at least hope that the party would be decent enough to engage in disagreements in a more civil manner than this. So with me, that is the height of hubris. That is the height of sickness, uh, and that is the height of injustice. And I definitely think it's to the level where I think it should be a charge for it.
So let me ask you a question. You said a lot. You did. You said a lot. And I agree with you 200%. These people were promised a household, a home, before they were dropped off, according to the civil suit. There is, excuse me, there is a civil suit that has been filed. You put children's lives in danger, women. He said some things, and anybody who knows me knows I stand, and hello, FM from Creed Spotlight. He catches a lot of them. I stand against predators and anybody in the sex human trafficking world, right? So much could have gone wrong. And who knows what has gone wrong that we don't have a clue about at thus far. So my question to you is, you say that you think that they should face jail time. To me, this is beyond a party. You've got to be the coldest human being, because the laws in America, now I'm going to say what they say, the law in America, this is not what this country is supposed to stand by. I know that there's a lot of the okie doke, and you're right, Brad, but do you think, and my question to you is, do you think these governors should face criminal charges for what they've done to these people? There's children and there's women involved, as well as men, because you just never know in the human trafficking world. Go ahead, Lungi. You could tell me if you agree.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I was just gonna say, looking back at the civil rights movement, right? And one of the most painful things that a lot of men who chose to stand up during that time faced was, if I have my woman, this is in honor of women. If I'm traveling a long distance with my woman, a woman has needs, unique to her as a woman. And if I'm traveling with her a far distance and I can't even pull over for her for any accommodations, for her to even utilize a restroom, for her to even utilize facilities that would assist her in her uniqueness, if you know what I mean. in traveling, that was one of the most indignant things that a lot of men had to face. That how can I protect my wife
Mhm.
if we're traveling from across a state, from one state or two states over, and I can't even stop for a certain period of time in order to assist my wife? How does that make me feel as a man? You know, and I think it's the same thing with this situation. It's like, you have a plethora of needs that people have. Children,
Mhm.
like you said, people are sick. People may have different illnesses, whatever the case may be. And for them to put these people on the level of things, they're putting them, they're not make they're not they're taking them, they're taking their personhood. And I think that somebody should personally be indicted. Like you said, a civil suit, okay, that's one thing. But when you're talking about, I think they should be looking into personal charges for people who are a party to this crime. You
Mhm.
know, like you said, this is the closest thing to human trafficking that you can get.
Mhm.
Teeter tottering on the lines of trying to make this legal, and use it for political gain. And to me, that's what makes it even worse, because it's like, we elected you into this position. We gave you the dignity of saying, by a democratic process, that you are in power in order to do what God has so willed for you to do.
Mhm.
But yet you use your office in a way that diminishes all the maturity of the office, all the respect of the office, all the what anybody has fought for in order to make the offices what they are. So with that, I have absolutely no respect and no regard for it. I think somebody should be charged. I wouldn't feel content. I won't feel content until somebody is actually charged for this.
So let me ask you a question, and this is just my opinion, right? Um, um, and you're right, Bradley. Why is there not criminal charges instead of civil suit that should come after? I think that that may be the way that they're approaching it. I don't know much about law. I don't practice law, but I think it is one of the things. Now, one of the things that I was thinking when it comes to the governor of Florida, DeSantis, he's pretty radical with his party. He's done some crazy laws. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen them since he's been in office in the state of Florida. I honestly believe he's trying to run for president in the near future. How do you feel about that, Lungi? Because this is the same guy that just dropped off these migrants, who I believe everybody deserves an opportunity, right? To at least give them an opportunity to get here. And you left because the conditions were deplorable in Venezuela. So now you're here and you get dropped off stating that you would get a new house, as if that's supposed to be funny. Yes, he is, Susie. He is horrendous. Horrendous. And if you could, Susie, give your opinion on what you think that he did with those migrants, because at the end of the day, they're humans. There are brothers and sisters of color. You as well. Go ahead, Lungi.
Well, from what I've read about DeSantis, I am surprised that he was able to obtain the position, that gubernatorial position. I was surprised that he was able to gain that position. And I think his time in serving as governor has proved itself that he's extreme in a negative way, that he's not measured in his leadership, that he has no regard for the people, the grassroots, that he's self-seeking, that he should definitely not win another term. Really, there should probably be some sort of impeachment articles written in relation to this event. I would hope that the people of Florida would really look into the possibility of trying to impeach because of this. Because and even with the governor, if I'm not mistaken, of Texas as well. Uh, this to me is a crime. This to me is nothing uh, that uh, a true leader, a true leader would do to a desperate people. Whether you disagree with some of the immigration laws that Democrats want to put in place or not, open borders, whatever the case may be, a true leader would not treat another human being, in a way like this. I can
Now,
understand. Go
go
ahead.
ahead,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, 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 no. Go
I,
ahead, go ahead.
I can understand the strict measures, trying to close the borders. This to me reaches beyond the whole Donald Trump build a wall situation. This to me reaches beyond even that. I could almost agree with a lot of the rhetoric of Donald Trump in comparison to this. You know, because it's one thing to try to so-called put a stop to a thing that they may not agree with, whatever. But you know, to use a person who is a life, who has a family, who has children, who has mothers and fathers, who has siblings, who has a wife, who has a husband, whatever the case may be, who has diabetes, who has uh, uh, sicknesses, cancer, whatever, and use that person as leverage, to use that person as, to me, a rag doll for the sake of trying to advance your political party. you know, there should be some sort of articles of impeachment.
So let me ask you a question, and you guys can answer whoever's watching on the feed as well. Some of these people in their country were people with education. And this is what gets me, because you're in a situation, because I thought, and I'm just going to go by what the Constitution of this country says, right? What did our fathers of our forefathers of this country build this nation on? I just don't understand the whole um, immigration, build the wall thing. I don't, for the life of me, honestly, I don't see how someone can be so cold. If you guys remember a few years back, we had children that were put up in cages. Jennifer Lopez, who was criticized for the fact that she had Jennifer Lopez, who was criticized for the fact that she had on the Super Bowl put the children on the cages. She made it very radical due to the immigration things, and they criticized it. Whatever. I thought it was one of the nicest Super Bowls. The Latinas really did it on that one, but that's just my opinion, right? So I say all that to say this. Um, what is y'all's opinion? And hello, Jamil, how are you this evening? What is y'all's opinion on the whole, the way this country was built in the first place, that we're just dealing with this, and they're very nonchalant about it. Because, like, has anybody heard any of the governors say that they're sorry? Because I haven't, unless I miss something on the news. I normally read it and not watch it. So if I miss something, please let me know, because if you're sincerely sorry, you'll send them back home to your state where they were at.
Right. So I haven't heard any sort of formal apology or any walking back of their stance on anything that they've done thus far. But like you were saying, in terms of the founding of this nation, you know, I know a lot of people say that this is a nation of immigrants, that there were people who, initially came here from, France and Europe, you know, England, I guess you could say specifically, Spain, so on and so forth, and these people fought it out amongst each other, on some levels until it seems like England emerged to be the dominant group among, those who immigrated. And I know that there were some terrible situations surrounding some uh, people originally from England traveling to this country, and the poverty that they were trying to escape, some of them,
Mm-hmm.
and to find a country that was newly formed and with the formation of it, I don't totally agree with, I can't per se agree with all of its formative years and what that
Mm-hmm.
entailed, because I'm African American male, Black American male, and mine came on another boat, but in the midst of it all, you know here we have uh, incentives to migrate to this country among the
Mm-hmm.
peoples of various countries in Europe, throughout the years, throughout the duration. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it was almost a, you know, uh, we'll do whatever to bring you here
Mm-hmm.
post 1865, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because we're about to push out a marginalized people that were our workers. We're about to kind of, uh, build something new and embark on something that would probably be a greater enterprise than what we thought we had acquired with this uh, system that we were forced to dismantle. But in the midst of it all, there was a pleasure in some people's arrival. You know, and it just goes to show that our country is still very selective, and there's an extreme color line as to the selectiveness of who's incentivized or who's welcomed or who's loved and who's not loved in terms of migrating to this country, to take advantage of the considered opportunities that exist in this country. you know so for me, I see a large double standard from its inception. And I see that double standard has not subsided. That double standard has just arrived in a new suit and tie. You know that double standard doesn't have a whip. You know, except maybe the political whip that's in Congress. You know, and with these migrants, particularly those that are in South America, and our brown brothers and sisters. You know, there needs to be a it needs to be put on the forefront. That America does not really have a strong love for black brown people. It doesn't. It doesn't. You know.
And so this is my question, right? And I have to keep it 100. I have to keep it 100, right? So you have brown and black always going back and forth. Let's say how it is. Okay? So now I ask myself, at the end of the day, are we all being treated the same but in different ways? Whether it's through immigration, whether it's through getting a boot on your neck, whether it is more over and over again, the things we see with the justice system with Latinos and Blacks. I'll say that. Let me correct myself, browns and blacks. I ask myself what makes a difference because so many times I hear my own people say, oh, but no, I don't with blacks. Or I hear blacks, I don't mix with Latinos or Ricans. I'm the last. Anybody who knows me knows I love everybody. I'm not with it. But makes you wonder, are we really just not sticking together for these things? Because it is very crucial that us as people of color stick together. Now, I wanted to start on something else. Do you have anything else to say before I go on to the next topic?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to. I'm anxious to see what you have to say.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about, and I just thought it was something else when I see breaking news on my social media. So I click on it real quick, live, 2 seconds, because I don't really like watching the news. I like to read it. So anyhow, long story short, I see the governor of Georgia doing this breaking news about the storm that's headed that way, preparing for evacuation, so forth, so on. Now, I asked myself as a human rights activist, and as you guys know, I fight for everybody, human. It's not your civil rights, human rights. Okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. And the first people that crossed my mind, and Lungi, you might feel me because I always talk about my clients. First thing that crossed my mind is, oh my God, the prisoners, how are they going to be treated? Because they're already in scorching hot temperatures. They say it's like a warehouse in there. I get the messages all the time from family or loved ones, as they call themselves. So what is your opinion on that? You know, I have to ask. Because everybody knows where I stand. I mean, I wish I could give everybody AC, the best of water, so forth, so on. What is your opinion on that, Lungi?
Well, with the weather, the way that it is in Georgia, it's sad that some people are in positions that are uh, that they can do nothing about themselves in order to make the situation better for themselves. And like you said, with prisoners, they've been in the news a lot lately. Um, they've definitely been in the news a lot lately as far as like you said, the heat, the conditions. I even heard as
Yes.
recent, yeah, I heard recently about the parole situations.
Yeah.
And one of my things, with prisoners, I think one of the saddest things is that the vast majority of prisoners, and this goes for almost any state, are from the concentrated areas of the cities.
Mm-hmm.
They're initially from those areas, but the prisons are built
Mm-hmm.
in far out rural areas, oftentimes too far for their families to adequately travel on a regular basis in order to provide the emotional support and reintegration support that they need.
Mm-hmm.
So their building of these prisons in these rural areas are oftentimes to provide jobs in these rural areas, or sometimes to even utilize the amount of prisoners in order to gain certain political benefits for districts having a certain amount of people in that region, whereas otherwise in their rural area, there would not be that substantial amount of people. So
Mm-hmm.
you're using a population of people who don't have the voting power themselves, but utilizing them for political gain and leverage to their detriment. And like you say, they're warehousing them in these facilities that don't have adequate heating and air, don't have adequate um,
Showers, showers. I've seen
yeah,
videos, man, like 2 showers for like 400 men. What is that?
right, right. They don't have they lack severely, and it seems like it's becoming it's becoming so bad that everyone is beginning to pay attention to what's going on with the situation of prison reform. Um, and like you said, with Georgia, with this whole situation, I think it just exacerbates the issue of the need for the prisoner, the need for the least of these. What the scriptures talk about, what you've done to the least of these, you've done to me, right? That's
Mhm.
scripture, and anybody that has any kind of heart for Christ, any kind of heart for God, should seriously pay attention to the little person, to
Mhm.
the most vulnerable person, to the hurt person. And we know that guys that are incarcerated, okay, they've done crimes, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, they are human.
Absolutely.
They've made
Same as us
mistakes.
migrants.
Yeah, they're asking for forgiveness. They're going to
Mhm.
return to society. They're going to be the one living next to anyone, and they deserve reintegration. They deserve restoration. If they pay their debt, they deserve a chance, and
Mhm.
they are human. So in the situations that you place them in these correctional facilities, you have to take more care and more consideration of their humanity than just commodifying, you know, these people.
Mhm. Now, let me ask you a question. If, in your opinion, right? Because it is mine. And that's why I have to ask, like, and I wish all of them were here tonight so that I can ask for everybody, in your opinion, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? In your opinion, when it comes to the situation, I brought it up in the way that I brought it up for a reason, right? When it comes to what's going on with the migrants, like it's going on with the prisoners, right? Because I didn't hear him say anything about the prisoners when he was talking about everybody else. The little bit I did hear, and people correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I missed something, right? Doesn't it almost seem the same, heartless? Because I have a heart that it was natural to me from the time I was a little girl to always look for the best in people. And I thought, right, and this is just every religion out there, whatever you follow. I thought that that's what it teaches you to do, to be a better person, to do good by people, right? To help others when they're in need, to fight for the right thing. I've taught my children to fight for the right thing, to do the right thing, regardless whether you agree with it or not. That's not your business. But your business is to protect others and protect their rights, right? So, Lungi, I ask myself, and I ask you, in your opinion, is it the same type of inhumane treatment? From what you've seen, read, I'm sure you follow things on social media, so forth, so on.
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, I think that I think that on a high level, those that are in leadership, uh, in any way, their incompetencies in certain areas are very glaring, especially to the people at the bottom. And oftentimes you would have to ask the people at the bottom in order to get the real picture of leadership and what leadership is doing or not doing for those that are underneath that particular mantle. And what I mean by that is, there's a lot of lack of accountability, it seems. There's a lot of uh, lack of vision, lack of real concern to try to rectify situations or try to reform situations uh, that affect prisoners' lives, that affect immigrants' lives, that affect the poor people's lives. It seems that there are so many people that I've seen so passionate about a situation. I've felt to myself, I wish they had the position because they have the passion, you know, but they may not have the position. Whereas the person that has the position has absolutely no passion for the cause. When you take on a governor's seat, there's a variety of departments that you oversee. Department of Agriculture, Department of Education, Department of Corrections, Department of this, Department of that, Department, and something is oftentimes going to get more attention to the exclusion of other areas. And sometimes that exclusion borderlines on what I call criminal negligence. That you can neglect something so much, that it's like neglecting a room in your house to clean. You clean every room except this room. And years go by and if you walk in there, what are you gonna see? What are you gonna see in this room that's just been neglected?
A Category 5 hurricane.
Don't let it be your kids' room and they never cleaned it. They never cleaned it throughout their whole high school years. Your kids never cleaned that room. How's it gonna look?
Exactly.
How's it gonna smell?
Oof.
You just,
Can you
you know,
imagine? Oh, Lord, have mercy. Worse than vinegar, corn chips.
oh my God.
Oh, man, and musk, and oh, Lord. And then the blankets. Ay, Dios mío. That
And
can't be
it's
in a Puerto Rican household. That just cannot be possible in a Puerto Rican household. I understand lazy days. I understand you're not feeling well. Sometimes jobs get behind, but Lord
yeah,
have mercy, never should it be atrocious.
yeah. There's certain parts of the body you should always clean. You cannot neglect certain parts of the body, right? And so it is
Mm-hmm.
with these different areas. I think the telltale sign of the growth of activism are areas in society that are oftentimes left neglected. They're not
Mm-hmm.
cleaning up those areas. They're not cleaning up those rooms. They're not cleaning up those departments. And so here comes the cry. Here comes the cry, and here comes the activism. Here comes the speakers. Here comes the prophetic voice, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because
Uh,
something is being neglected.
And see, that's just it. You being a Christian guy, right? Christian man, and I like it when we have like the different minds and everybody gives their opinion, right? And by their different beliefs, because it always boils down to the same thing. Doesn't the Bible say that Jesus hung out with those people, the ones in need? I would think the migrants, I would think the prisoners, I would think the alcoholics, I would think um, prostitutes, I would think the drug addict, I would think the homeless person, I would think the adulterer, adulteress, I would think the fornicator. I would think everybody that does everything that doesn't align right to their belief in the Bible. Is that safe to say that a lot of people are not following that today, especially these officials that call themselves from a certain party that's supposed to be more conservative? And y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, you guys are free to comment. You guys are free to call in
And
because there's a lot. Go ahead.
I think it's very safe to say because um, the healthcare system at that time was horrible, but he was shutting down what healthcare systems did exist and providing free healthcare for all. At his expense. Um, Food shortages and the ability to obtain produce was very hard in certain regions of society at that time, but he was providing food for many at no expense except his own expense. And he oftentimes, like you said, for those that needed moral rectification, he was providing the answer, the counseling. He was providing the healing. You know, uh, he was putting a lot of people out of business. He put a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people out of business because, and it just goes to show, and it begs the question of, you know, does everything have? Should everything have a bottom line? Should everything be about a dollar? Because that's where the problem lies, oftentimes, because everything is about a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is about what can I obtain for this, and
Exactly.
the capitalism has gotten to such a degree that and the competition has gotten to such a degree that I may not be given the most the best of my work or my services in order to help society. I'm just on the surface making it look as though it's the best in order to obtain the money the fastest and the quickest before the next person that is in my field. You know, the next counselor, the next grocery store, the next hospital, whatever the case may be. The competition has gotten so fierce, and the money is got people salivating out the mouth so much that they don't want to really take into consideration the values that should surround whatever they're doing for this world.
I agree.
What we do for this world should be on a based on a value system, and money will follow. You know, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, where is the heart of the people? Where's the heart of the gospel?
Humanity.
Right, particularly
Humanity.
among
Just
Christians, like you said, particularly among Christians. Where is our values? Where is our heart when we
absolutely.
provide whatever we provide? Why are we providing it? Are we
Mm-hmm.
trying to gain a bottom line? Are we trying to get a certain amount of money before the month is out? Or are we trying to help a certain amount of people as much as we can with the services we provide, whatever we provide?
I agree with you. Jamil, I'd like to pull you into this conversation, especially with you not being Christian, being of another belief, right? So I started off speaking about the migrants and them being dropped off, and uh, the governor of Texas and the governor of Florida not taking any accountability, pretty much saying that they did the right thing, you know, and that they feel they've done nothing wrong. They've threatened to drop off migrants uh, in different Democratic states. So they made this about politics. I've always said that DeSantis, I believe, does these radical things because he's trying to run for president in a later date, and he needs to be stopped now because it could get worse, right? So then from there, I went on to talk about the storm, and I saw that it was breaking news, but I noticed that in the little bit I watched, they mentioned everybody in the state of Georgia except prisoners or people in county jail, work release camps, whatever you want to call it, just in the system of Department of Correction. And if anybody watched the breaking news, if you guys caught something I didn't catch, let me know, because if they're giving help to everybody else, my whole thing is, shouldn't as humans, right, us just line up and be like, okay, these people are all being treated the same, whether you're a prisoner, you're a migrant, you're a person of color. So what is your opinion on that, or how would it go hand in hand together? Or if you feel different, would it not? And then I'll let you start the next conversation.
I'm really not understanding the question. Does what go hand in hand? Because
So the mistreatment of the immigrants or the migrants, right? As well as the way that the prisoners are being treated, because they were never mentioned with anybody who was going to get any help. The prisons may be without electricity. I don't know if generators run up. I've never asked any of my clients. They may be without water. They may be, there may be a number of things that may go on. There may not be any food that comes back and forth because there won't be shipments. There's a lot of people that need to be fed, so forth, so on. There's a lot of things that can go on or can go wrong, right? And it's the same thing as with these migrants that just got dropped off like trash. Because like I was saying earlier, you have human trafficking. We don't know yet the effects of what they did caused, because there was children there was women there. You don't know what happened. You don't know if there was males that were taken for their organs. This is organ harvesting. This is true stuff. I mean, I've done interviews on this stuff. So my question to you is, do you see it being hand in hand the same thing? Or to you, is it like, no, one's different than the other? Does my question now make sense?
yes, I wouldn't say I would not say that they go hand in hand, but I would say that the situations are similar.
Mm-hmm.
And in Islam, when a person seeks asylum in your country, you're to give it to them. If a person seeks safety or comes to you for safety, you're supposed to give them that safety, that asylum. You're not supposed to pass like the United States or these Republicans are doing with these migrants and passing the buck, making it political. Because the reality of the situation is America was built on migrants, immigrants. This was your motto at one point in time. Give us your poor and all the rest of it. I forget exactly what the word way it was worded, but you invited these people,
Mm-hmm.
and now here it is in 2022. You want to bounce the people around like you're passing the book or the responsibility.
I think we lost him. So I think we
That's the
got.
similarity to the prisoner situation, because in prison, when I talk to my uncle, he tells me, he's like, you know, they might be in a situation where they try to get something done and they go to the officer, and he said the officer will tell him to talk to the sergeant. And then when he talks to the sergeant tells him to talk to the lieutenant. And the lieutenant passes the buck to the captain. The captain passes the buck to the unit manager. And then the unit manager passes the buck to the deputy warden all the way up to the warden. And then they tell you there's nothing they can do. So when he calls home, it's like you'll talk to everybody. What are we supposed to do now? Now we have to go call in the commissioner, the regional director, trying to get something done for him because he went through all the channels at the prison and he's not getting any assistance. And so it's the same type of situation. That's why I say it's similar. I can see it being similar, but it's not. It doesn't go hand in hand. I don't see how it will go hand in hand. But the situations are very similar, and I think that on the part of the Republicans, it's showing is that's a very distasteful act. It's very distasteful for you to do, because what you're saying is you don't care about the people. You only care about a political viewpoint or a political stand. Because if you truly cared about the people, then when the people came to you, you would have done something about it instead of passing the buck. But dropping the people off in what is Martha's
Vineyard.
Garden, Martha's Vineyard, and you know,
and Kamala Harris's home.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't really care for her either, but it's just the act itself. It's the act itself, that it's like it's detestable. It's like if an orphan shows up on my doorstep, knocks on my door, and I see it's a child, he ain't got nothing, or she doesn't have anything, and they're asking for something to eat, and then I take him someplace else and then just drop him or her off at somebody else's spot and leave them. That's crazy. What in the Bible?
In any Bible.
Jesus asked, he gave asked the question. He said, which of you child asked him for egg would give him a scorpion? And he asked another question. He was like, he gave a scenario of the Good Samaritan. This is a country that claims, in big, all capital letters, claims to be God-fearing. claims to be a one nation under God and indivisible with liberty and justice for all. But then when you get in these types of situations, you show your true colors. You show your true colors. Show your true colors. You know, is about the white first, and then the red and the blue, which is the Republican and the Democratic parties. You don't care about nothing else. You care about the white people in the red and blue parties. All these other people who suffering in your country that are not white, you really don't care. And this is not to be racist or to be. I'm just you look at the evidence. See, if I was speaking racially without proof, then you could say I was being a racist or anything. But if I speak the truth, then I'm not being a racist. I'm being truthful. You need to make the adjustments. You make the adjustments. If a white person says that black people are the number one killers of themselves, or how we the leading population, we lead the population in the prison system or criminal rate. We need it. Is he being or she being racist if these are statistical facts? No, you're stating a fact. You're stating a fact. You're stating a statistic. So when these types of things are being spoken about, and you call this nation out on its racism and its bigotry and its falsehoods and its lies and its deceit, you're not being racist. You're not being unpatriotic or terrorist in your thinking anything. You're stating facts. Stating facts. These folks are pathetic. And I'm really at a point right now where it's very embarrassing to say that I'm from America or I live in America.
I'm not Americana, just so that everybody knows. I'm not Americana. I'm not by default. Like, I did not. That was not like I said, that I'm not Americana. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not Wepa, I'm Boricua, and you guys hear me out. Before I let you guys talk about the next topic. One thing I wanted to mention, and my heart is with my family. I forgot to mention this at the beginning. With my family and friends over in Puerto Rico who are still without water and lights in many places, especially where I'm from, the south of the island. I posted a video on my story today, and it was the reaction to the last president and what he had to say about the aid and how we only lost 16 people or something, and the hurricane in Louisiana was a real hurricane. And I'm not saying less of one or the other, because when I saw the way that the people of Louisiana were treated during Katrina, it made my blood boil as bad as with Maria. I say all that to say this. I think it's both parties. There should be more aid, right? So you're supposed to be secondhand Americans, like us Puerto Ricans say, because we're treated like second class. But it's real good with the Jones Act and all those tax breaks y'all get, huh? Just being 100. I had to mention that real quick because my heart is with our people of Puerto Rico. Um, Jamil or Lungi, if you'd like to talk about the next topic, I'll leave it up to you guys. Okay,
You know, I want to discuss
go ahead.
Raphael Warnock
Okay.
versus Herschel Walker
Hmm.
for the
Okay, what is it? Is
Republican
it
Senate. I'm trying to figure out. Listen, have you been seeing these commercials that the two of them, these smear campaigns that the two of them are posting against each other? This is like,
it's a joke?
it's ridiculous. I'm saying black people, you got two black men who are trying to get a seat in the Senate for the state of Georgia. And you would think with all the stuff going on, okay, politics does not have to be about exposing or trying to expose somebody else's flaw in order to win an election. Why can't we as black people go back to setting the standard instead of following it? You know, I watched these commercials. Raphael Warnock smearing Herschel Walker for being threatening or trying to kill his wife, and having issues with uh, thinking about killing people and being brain tissue flying over this, all this crazy stuff that you point out of this man's life, or them Herschel Walker commercials about Raphael Warnock, giving money to criminals and uh, money to the Boston bomber or whoever it is, that somebody. It's like, why are y'all getting up here and smearing each other? Why can't
But
you get up here? Why can't you get up
but
here and speak about your ability to serve the people? Because
I don't believe that that's what it's about anymore, Jamil. I mean, Lungi, you're free to step in and join in and give your opinion. I just don't think that that's what it's about anymore. Politics is ugly. Politics sucks. I hate politics. Haka.
ugly is an
Haka, like I would tell
understatement.
Nathaniel.
It really is. I'm talking about ugly is truly an understatement, because you just look at it. These folks, see, I expect this from white politicians. I expect that. But black people got into politics for a reason. They got into politics to make a difference. To make a difference. But you're coming in and you're following all the same trends of the white people who were here before you. So what difference are you going to make? What difference are you gonna make? Only thing you're gonna do is follow suit. So if that be the case, why don't we just keep the white politicians in office then? Look at Obama. But I gotta use Obama. I know it's a lot of black people who felt like Obama was the greatest thing that happened to the United States. I beg to differ. I'm not one of those people who wants a black president just because he's black, or a black governor just because he or she is black, or a black senator just because he or she is black, or a black judge, or anything just because you're black.
Or a woman. That happens.
Or what? Real talk. I don't want the, because it doesn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna do that. If you're gonna do the same thing as those who came before you, we're gonna get the same results. We're gonna get the same result. If you're not going to come in, you come talk about you're gonna make a difference, but then you come in and you do the same thing as those who came before you. I hear all these black people up here in Atlanta talking about Stacey Abrams. You know, she's gonna do this, she's gonna do that, she's gonna do this. I've heard every black politician, every single one, from the time I was a child until now. The past 47 years has been full of promises that were unkept.
Yikes, you're old. I'm just saying.
But I'm tired. It's like be different. Be different. You know, man. Herschel Walker said he want to bring the people together, but clearly that's not going to happen. You know that, especially not in Georgia. This is a divided state, and I'm not talking about red and
Florida. So is Florida. So is Alabama. I think it's the whole South Beltway area, in my opinion.
My whole thing is like, Lungi, and man, you from out of state too. Look at the difference between Ohio and Georgia and California, like where I'm from in Georgia.
I don't think. Look. Let me tell you, Jamil. No, but Jamil, let me tell you straight up. Like, and Lungi, maybe you can agree with me on this. I have some cases up north, and that popo over there ain't on the right side. I think it's just as bad up there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lungi. Is that information accurate?
Yeah, that information is very accurate.
I know. I got some cases. I know. I've had to go talk in front of media when it came to helping teenagers who were beat up by the police.
one of the most significant cases with Tamir Rice in Cleveland, my home area. Uh, you know, it's just as bad. The North and the South. Yeah, it was more glaring, I would say, because of Jim and Jane Crow. But even in this day and time, we still have a lot of work to do.
I agree. I agree. So what is your
In
opinion?
California,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jamil.
to me, like,
Okay.
home, at home, I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about.
Bring me the plate.
Back when I was younger, like the the people were divided. Don't get me wrong, but on issues that matter
They're united.
in the state of California, that the people gonna come together. The people. One thing about it, like for example, Rodney King. When Rodney King got beat by those officers in LA and they found those officers not guilty, it wasn't just black people who was tearing up shit. You had Hispanics and Asians and white people tearing up shit too. Things, excuse me. I'm sorry, I forgot they're tearing up things.
It's
But
okay.
uh it's not the same way in Georgia. Don't get me wrong, you had your racism, you got you had your skinheads, the SWPs, and stuff like that in California too. Just like you had your Crips and your Bloods and Sureños and your Norteños. But when it came to dealing with the police on the streets, nobody, the whites, the blacks, the Hispanics, the Asians, did nobody like the police. In Georgia, these dudes is so cool with the police. I'm surprised there's any crime. It's like I don't understand. It's like I
Are you saying they
I've
may
never
be
seen
rats?
anything like this in my entire life.
You ain't been to Florida.
Huh?
That's because you ain't been to
Man,
Florida.
listen. I've never I know a lot of dudes from Florida. They're not
Miami don't
police
count.
friendly.
Miami don't count. Jacksonville don't
Oh,
count, and Orlando don't count.
well, I know all the dudes I know from Florida, from Jacksonville, Miami, Lauderdale, and Orlando,
And
and none of them
that's
are
why I'm
rats.
saying.
None of them like the police.
That's what I'm saying, because that's where the people of color are at. Go to somewhere like Biscayne or Panama City, and I'm gonna tell you, there's a whole different breed over there. I know many people that have been railroaded in those towns. Like I said, whenever I am in Florida visiting, because I do travel to different states, whenever I am in Florida visiting, I ain't never seen nothing like I've seen with flags, banners. You go to the gas station to go pump gas, you see signs, talking about who's in the commander in chief right now, and just I didn't do this. and stuff like that, that I think it's just ridiculous. Like, I'm just like, it's just a whole different dragon. It's just, I think it's just the way that politics are today. It's just nasty, just disgusting.
Say what now?
I'm sorry, I was talking to Nathaniel. Guys, yeah, I'm having fruit, and my son keeps coming and eating all my fruit. This is my dinner.
Hey, Nathaniel.
He can't hear because I have you guys on my headset. But
Oh, okay.
the policies are a gang. And see, Mochis, I agree with that. It's almost like, and that's what pisses me off. They talk about bullying and they talk about gang members and this and that and drug addicts. You know, let's talk about the people who are addicted right now to heroin. Let's talk about how you gave them pain medication and now they're addicted to that needle. Let's talk about the overdosages because you guys just keep giving them prescriptions. Let's talk about gang members and them getting these ridiculous sentences. But then what about you guys? What about the bullying you guys do? What about the weapons that were dropped off in the projects? What about the drugs, crack, and other drugs that have been dropped off at the project? What about things like that? What about the killing of these youngins? What about separating families by building the welfare system? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the nitty gritty because there is always two sides of the sword. Are you guys going to be the ones to stand up and actually be like, no, I take a stand against all of this and I'm going to be not your regular person? Because if anybody knows Anna, and you guys, I'm sorry, I have this side, I have an ear infection. So if you guys know anything about Anna, you guys will know this. I'm always going to do the right thing, even if it's not popular. How many of the listeners that are listening tonight or listen to this at some point or another are going to take that stand too? Even if it's not popular, let me do the right thing. Because what he's saying is true, and I agree. Lungi, you could step in the conversation at any point. I agree. How is it that we're sitting here attacking each other over parties and over this and over that? But what about our mind and then the way we feel about things and helping our people not being human trafficked, right? Because let's talk about it. That's a lot of what happens. That's why politicians don't make such strict rules on that. That's why you'll see a sex offender gets less time than somebody who defended themselves on a robbery. Let's talk about it. You know, my conversations aren't always going to be popular, but I'm going to tell you one thing. They're always going to be straightforward and sincere. Might not like it, but it's the truth. Can you face the truth? That's the question. Lungi, did I lose you?
True.
Go ahead.
No, I'm still here. I'm here.
What do you have an opinion on anything we've spoken about?
Um, so we were talking about Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker, right?
Yeah, the freak. I'm not into politics,
Oh,
but what
God.
I've seen.
Oh my God. I feel
And I
like,
also let your other half of the dynamic duo know that he was old because he did say he was 47.
yeah, he
like,
told on
whoa, that's
himself he
old.
almost 50.
I'm about to be 29 next month.
Yeah, 25 for life. Oh man. But concerning the Senate run, a black senator to me, particularly a black male senator, is a very unique position to
Mm.
be in, especially in today's times. It's very difficult, I believe, and I have a profound respect for someone that would attain such an office because the issues, the plethora of issues that they have to tackle nowadays compared to the past are very challenging, especially if they want to help, particularly their own people, on some level. I look at the first black senator, Hiram Revels. Hiram Revels, right? This man comes off the backdrop of slavery and attains this position at the time of Reconstruction, the Reconstruction period time in America. That 12-year span, but his tenure was short. But for him to take the seat, to take the Senate seat of Jefferson Davis himself, the head of the Confederacy, for him to replace this man, to be in a position, that was a high calling. For him to become the senator of Mississippi in this situation, where most black people, the so-called 4 million blacks at that time, pretty much agreed on the main issues that needed to be addressed. And this man was a minister. This man had helped his community in Mississippi for a substantial amount of time. This man understood that the need for education among his people was a challenging yet necessary task to embark upon, and for the economic building of his people, the spiritual building of his people, the repairing from slavery of his people. And he met an awesome challenge with a passion that I feel like you will seldom see in leaders today that want to arrive at a position as high as a Senate seat, to become a United States senator, not just a state senator, but a United States senator, and for him to have that, even from the early parts of America, for every Frederick Douglass, you have a Martin Delany. That's the counterpart that they want to. That for every Booker T. Washington, you have a W.E.B. Du Bois. For every W.E.B. Du Bois, you have a Marcus Garvey. For every Martin, you have a Malcolm. Whatever. There are always those that feel like there's another way to meet the challenges that our communities face, and it's hard. I've had a lot of respect for Herschel Walker at one time. I looked at some of his stats and statistics, as a hero, basically, but it's degenerating because now I'm being forced to view him through the lens of who's controlling you and to what extent are you truly willing to become a public servant, because that's the crux of what a political position should be. Because I can indeed name some like the Hiram Revels of society that took public service, I believe, seriously. People can say what they want about guys like Adam Clayton Powell, but I believe that he took the position of a public servant seriously and was willing to fight against the status quo. Right? He was willing to fight against the status quo in order to, if he was the only vote in Congress, this man would oftentimes, I don't think he got one bill passed. his entire time in Congress, Adam Clayton Powell. But he was that lone individual willing to stand, the only black person in Congress at the time for a long time, since Reconstruction. Here he emerges, and here he is alone on many issues, and still willing to fight for those issues, whether they're heard or not. He's like, if I'm in this position, as long as I'm a voice, I'm going to say what I believe is right. And I do believe that there are some that have a level of sincerity in that regard and a passion in that regard, and a lot of it is more on local levels. I think some of these national star level politicians oftentimes sell themselves and sell themselves short. But I believe that with this situation with Raphael Warnock, there are some things about Dr. Raphael Warnock that I totally am in agreement with, and I think that if he has this entire tenure as a senator, that he needs to assume the position with the enormity of the task in a way that makes it that brings him gravity in holding this situation and saying, well, here I am from a legacy of few black male senators, and here I am, to continue a legacy of pushing. But I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. You made a really good point. And, I'd like to ask both of you guys, because, as you guys start talking, I always want to ask questions. You guys talk about these politicians who, have, to say it this way, have became popular, right? And in many different ways, and have really changed their agenda, right? So one that comes to mind is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandra, or better yet, known as AOC. AOC is a Puerto Riqueña. I think she was the youngest to be voted into Congress. And one of the things, Warnock is only able to serve out Loeffler's term. He has introduced some good legislation. So I don't believe that she's let anybody pull her with the okey doke, because I think she's very firm on what she says. Could you agree with that, Lungi?
Yeah, AOC, she's my political crush. I love her. She's.
I didn't say anything about crushes.
I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it totally like that. I don't mean it. So she's a beautiful woman. I mean political crush in the sense that I'm endeared to her. She's a beautiful woman now, but I'm endeared to her passion and willingness to stand up against so many affronts against her person, against her policies, and against her passion. She is a young fireball, and from the day that I have laid eyes on her, it wasn't that kind of crush. You're funny. This is called Brothers and Boricuas, right?
Yes. Hey, to Lungy's wife, don't kill me. I was just joking.
Yeah, I didn't mean it like that.
I'm about to get Jamil when he comes on. I'm about to get him. I'm waiting.
but I actually, I actually love Ilhan Omar too. Ilhan Omar is probably my favorite because, among the group, the squad, because she she's African for one, and I totally love that, but her courage and her willingness as being Muslim, and her uh, willingness to stand in the face of so much opposition without fear. She's those young women, and they're young. These are young women, these are young politicians, and from the time that I've been watching them, I want to see what they're going to become in 20 years. You know, uh, I want to see what these women bring to the table as they evolve. Um, but yeah, AOC, she's unbought, unsold, in my opinion. Um, and you can't help but love that. You can't help but
Yeah.
everybody loves a good fighter. Everybody loves somebody that's putting up a fight, that's swinging, especially if they're the underdog. And you want to see them get up out that corner. If they swinging with everything they got, you want to see are they gonna get up out of that corner? Are they gonna win? Are they gonna come back?
Right.
It's like some of them old Rocky fights. You know, but
Yeah.
she's one. She's my little Rocky. She has that spunk, that fire, and uh, for the most part, most of her stuff I agree with. I was a Bernie or bust guy. I'm definitely a Bernie Sanders. I lean toward an independent uh, political ideology on some levels. Um, but AOC, in many respects, say what they want about her. I love her. I salute. I tip my hat to her in a good way, in a
Okay,
pure way.
so I got your other half of the dynamic duo, and I have to ask. Jamil, what do you think about AOC, Alejandra Ocasio Cortez? Your other half said that was his political crush, but not meant the way that it sounded. And your opinion? Are you there? Okay, you're muted. Okay, so
Yeah,
Jamil, I
he'll
think
be
you
back.
don't want to answer that. He's like, you know what? My wife is Puerto Rican. She's gonna kick my butt. But no, and respect also to Jamil's wife. It was a joke. It was a joke. They are very beautiful women who are strong. And the reason why I mentioned that crew right there, I admire them. I admire that strength to be able to go against the current, and any woman that can stand up and do the right thing, regardless if it's unpopular. You will always be remembered for being that person that did the right thing, for being that person that helped somebody. And I'm really big on that as a human rights activist. Um,
Amen. Amen. Amen to that. I agree with
um, so, Lungi, I've given Jamil the opportunity to bring up a topic. I'm going to ask you, is there anything that you'd like to speak about tonight before we leave?
you. Well, the thought had crossed my mind about I think last week we were talking about the Little Mermaid, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I had an opportunity to watch the movie. Uh, what is it called? The Woman King, right?
Uh-huh.
And I really would like to hear. I'm not sure if you watched it,
I,
but
I haven't.
there's a lot of controversy, with some people about this movie. Um,
And what is it
do you know
called?
anything? The Woman King.
The
The
Woman.
Woman King. It's
No.
a it's a it's a it, it's a hit right now. The Woman King.
Okay.
Viola Davis is the star. You have
Okay.
several African women who play starring roles in the movie, and
Oh.
it's based on the Dahomey uh, tribe in West Africa who were very instrumental in the slave trade. But they had one of the fiercest female combating units in the entire continent of Africa at that time. They were
Okay.
fierce and they were feared. They would go into villages and cut men's heads off, you know, like it was nothing. People called them Amazons, Europeans did, And the controversy that's surrounding this movie is, even though it's a work of fiction that's loosely based on true events, some people feel like it isn't an accurate enough, I guess you can say, depiction of the Dahomey people, because they want to highlight the fact that the Dahomey people were instrumental in transporting it. I think over 9,000 people, across the transatlantic during the slave trade,
So what,
the
so that
transatlantic
I
slave trade.
understand what you're trying to say correctly, and I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Go
What
ahead.
you're trying to say is, so what you're saying is that they're depicting them as warriors, as not the negativity.
Heroes,
Yeah,
right there.
heroes, so forth, so on. And what they wanted out of this was it depicted as if they were not very educated, did things wrong, were fooled easily, kind of like the Indians and the cowboys, that type of thing.
Right, 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 right.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's sad to me, like he was just saying the comment at the bottom.
Yeah.
I hated the fact that these people were clashing with this movie because, for one, when I seen it, I loved this movie, and I'm a history. I'm a student of history. I love history. I love American history, so on and so forth, African history, and I saw absolutely nothing wrong with the movie. I seen it as a great and inspiring um, movie, and educational at the same time. And everything that it seemed like everybody was trying to argue against this movie, some of these so-called woke people, were arguing against this movie, was in the movie. Everything about the conflicts that they had with other African nations, the Oyo people in Nigeria, everything that they had in terms of the slave trade and some of their role in it with the Portuguese and whatnot, it was in there. And it wasn't like it was just the main thing. They had their own plot of characters. They're going to bounce around several characters because this is a movie. And they brought a lot of passion out and a lot of things that would touch the heart. And I thought it was a masterpiece, and I couldn't stand it. And it made me question, like, some of these people who are critiquing this movie, have they even watched it? Have they even taken the time to see this movie before they just judged it? Because, okay, one of the things that they were trying to say was, what's the girl's name from Kenya? The actress that played on the Black Panther. Oh my God, Lupita, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lupita was supposed to play the main character that Viola
Okay.
Davis played. But they say that she went to Benin, the part in Africa where the movie is a depiction of. And when she heard about some of the atrocities that the Dome women and people had done, it hurt her so bad she didn't want to take the role, right?
And
But in
that's her
all that,
decision.
right. But in all actuality, the role she took in the Black Panther movie was loosely based on the Dahomey women as well. The women regiments that they had in the Black Panther movie was loosely based on the same people, you know. But I don't know if this was, her further, trying to study into this situation or not, whatnot. But like you said, that was her decision. But I don't think that, people looking into her decision to not take on this role as a
Something
denouncing
positive.
of, yeah, because the movie, please go watch it. Please, when you get a chance, watch this
I
movie.
am, and
You'll
so
love it.
this is what I want to do. This is what I would like to do because Jamil just messaged me that he's having technical difficulties on his end. How about we do this, Lungi? We can either come back Thursday. I'm always down with airing. I always like to air, but we can either come back Thursday or we can come back next week. We'll figure it out. But by the time we come back, I promise to have it watch the
Okay.
movie and I'm gonna give you guys some input. Is that fair?
Okay. Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. I would love it. Yes.
Okay, so let's do this. We'll figure it out, guys. We'll let you guys know, ladies and gentlemen. Let me not do that because you guys know I'm very pro woman. Ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and let us watch this. I want to watch this movie because I want to see, where he's coming from because it's real hard for me to listen and kind of give input. But from what I saw right now in the trailer, it looks like a really good movie, and I'm always down to seeing something good, even though I barely watch TV. Y'all, believe it or not, I'm an actress, but I barely watch TV. I just don't have time. I was down, and Lungi, I'm going to tell you, I was down this weekend for a few days, for about 4 or 5 days. By today, I woke up with 10 messages of, I didn't realize I do so much. You know what I'm saying? I just did not realize it till today. Reality struck. And I was like, wow. So, anyways, long story short, I promise I'm going to watch that. It'll give me something to do, anyways, while I'm relaxing and recuperating. So, and then from there, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it. If you guys would like, we'll talk about it in the group chat. We'll come either Thursday or by next Monday, and we'll have different topic for you guys. Jeffrey, thank you so much for giving your opinion. Anytime you'd like, you can log in and give your opinion. It really does mean a lot. I think we were able to get Lungi before, or Jamil before leaving. But Jamil, if you have any final thoughts, as well as you, Lungi, we're gonna watch a movie, and we'll either be back next Monday or this Thursday to talk about it. Are you there, Jamil?
Um,
I apologize. I just wanted to apologize for being late and for my signal going in and out. It's on its little Nas X stuff right now, but
Well, I'm not gonna have you
I
give
am
me.
thankful for this opportunity as always, to be a part of such a group. People, me and my boy Lungi, man, it's my guy, my brother, and I'm looking forward to Thursday, whatever's on the table. You're missing a Boricua tonight. Just send it wherever you're at. I hope
I think we lost them. Lungi, do you have any final thoughts?
yeah. While we wait on him to come back, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thank you for this time. To be able to share and to be able to discuss. Current events. I always
I
love to
love it.
talk about different things that are going on in society right now. Bringing awareness and just being able to talk. To be able to talk about these things. And I thank you for allowing me to be on your show again.
You guys always thank me, but really, I don't know what I would do without the dynamic duo. I think you guys make the platform what it is. And I, Lunchtime with Anna, is very, very grateful for the both of you and the time that you guys take to come up on the platform and make this happen as a group, because I think without one of us or the other, it's just not the same. So I love bringing these issues that affect us people of color. And as you guys notice, the name of the show is Brothers and Boricuas, because we're all one. Jamil, if you could just finish up. You guys, I'm starting to lose my voice. I think it's time for me to get off too. If you'd like to finish up with your final thoughts. I think his signal's not good. But we will see you guys Thursday. Lungi, if you're available this Thursday, I'll see you Thursday. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll see you guys later on this week.
All right, you too. All right.